Happy Friday, basketball fans. My name is Nick Marro here with Occupy Fantasy. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. I'm here to break down this 11-game slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel. We have a massive slate today, and I know my videos last week ran a little long, so I'm going to do my best to kind of keep this short. So in order to do that, we kind of have to focus on what's most important. For me, that's obviously going to be the top plays on both sites, but injuries are first in NBA. Obviously, injuries create opportunity. When backups are getting more minutes and usage, that's where you're going to want to be picking your DFS plays from. So I'm going to start with the injuries, and then we'll kind of go position by position for each site quickly. I'm going to do my best to keep this under, say, 20 minutes. So bear with me here. I'm going to have to speed through this a little bit quicker than usual. Again, 11-game slate, a lot to cover. But yeah, if you're not already a member at Occupy Fantasy, don't be shy. Hop on the website and join us. You get access to our model. You get access to our experts, our lineup builder. We'll have people in Discord constantly helping you build lineups and refine your DFS process. Just extremely valuable all around. And yeah, I can't say enough about the team we have in there. So yeah, let's get into this. So first and foremost, we're back with Darius Garland, who's still out for Cleveland. We're one of the only sites who source our injury report by usage, which I find to be extremely helpful. Darius Garland, you see this usage rate over 50%. I don't know that that's going to maintain even when he returns. What that tells us is that there's a lot of looks to go around for Cleveland. So Donovan Mitchell gets a boost here. He's been excellent in the absence of Garland. He's running this offense. He was priced up, I think, 94, 9,800 yesterday, or on the last Cleveland slate. He's back down to 9,200 on both sites. So I like him here. And then, yeah, Karis LeVert's in the mid-range. He's been a bit disappointing. Usually whenever there's a big usage player out, he kind of absorbs a lot of that. But we haven't seen that really to start the season because when he's on the floor with Mitchell, most of that's been going to Mitchell. So he's okay as a GPP play. Secondary plays like Chetty Osman and Dean Wade, they're interesting to me as well here. Wade, really not a guy you can rely on, but the minutes should be there. So if he's near min price, I think you could look to him. 3,900 on both sites. Chetty Osman's price is up. He's been decent. Not really someone I can trust on a slate to slate basis, but certainly someone you can consider if you're kind of looking for a last man in that range. So the next big injury here is going to be Damian Lillard. Yeah, tough break. The Blazers have really come out strong to start the season, but now, obviously, without their best player, there's going to be usage to go around for them as well. We're looking at Anthony Simons, very scoring dependent as a guard, so some risk there, but at 7,100, I think he's going to be one of the best plays on the slate, one of the most popular as well. And let's see, I'm just trying to find his price on FanDuel. Yeah, 7,400 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DK. I think he's going to be one of your first guys in tonight. Other guys who are going to benefit here, we have Jeremy Grant, Josh Hart. But yeah, when Dame's out, I mean, there's usage to go around for everyone. Nurkic, I don't think sees as big of a boost as maybe some of the other guys will. He's been a bit inconsistent. I think you can look there in tournaments, but it's really the backcourt where you're going to want to shift most of your focus. And then there's a top value play here in Justice Winslow, I think we have to consider. He's cheap on both sides. I know our model loves him, but if he's going to see close to 30 minutes, we had Josh Richardson the other night with Vassell out. I think he's out again, but he kind of feels like that type of play. He's a forward, but he can play point forward. He's going to be handling the ball a lot. And just to kind of jump ahead, I think he's going to rank really highly. Yeah, he's one of our top value plays on FanDuel, one of the top value plays on Yahoo, one of the top value plays on DK. So it's tricky because that's the late game. So maybe you want to have kind of a swap in mind just in case he doesn't start. But since this is a big slate, we do have a couple late games. We should get that lineup maybe around 9 p.m. So just keep an eye on that. But if Richardson does indeed start, I think you're going to want him here. We're not Richardson, sorry. Winslow. Getting them mixed up. But yeah, 2-point forwards, I think we're going to be looking at on this slate. And that segues into the Devin Vassell news. I'm jumping around a bit now. But yeah, I mean, with Devin Vassell out, I think we can go back to Josh Richardson. I imagine his prices come up. Yeah, way up, 5,400. So I'm not nearly as interested, but he looked excellent that last time out. We also have Trey Jones, who's been solid. I like him. Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl. Anyone who starts in this offense is essentially viable. Vassell has been taking a lot of shots, so there's going to be usage to go around. Decent matchup with Chicago. We have the live odds on the Occupy site. And let's see here. I'm just looking for the total in that Chicago game. Pretty sure it's high. And Chicago's kind of known as a slower team, so I was a bit surprised when I saw this. But yeah, 229 point total, 230 on some books. Both DraftKings and FanDuel have that game at 230. So yeah, I think we're going to want some Spurs. I really think that Trey Jones is one of the safer plays. Keldon Johnson probably as well. We did see Jeremy Sochan had a decent game, I think around 20 fantasy points. If he's in the starting lineup again, I don't mind him as a value play. But yeah, a lot of usage to go around with a sellout. Working our way down, we have Rozier and LaMelo Ball still out for the Hornets, which is going to open things up for Dennis Smith Jr., Kelly Oubre. And let's see here. Yeah, we got Dennis Smith Jr. once again at 6,300. It took overtime for him to really have a great game, but he did look good out there, pushing nearly 40 fantasy points. Gordon Hayward was surprisingly effective at 6,700. I think you could look there. There's just always kind of a disclaimer with a player like Hayward. He's kind of scoring dependent, so if his shot's not falling, that could go sour quick. Same for Kelly Oubre. But let's see. Just going back to FanDuel, I'm going to click between the two sites and kind of build as we go. I do like Trey Jones. Richardson's a little bit more digestible at 4,800 on FanDuel. And then getting into Charlotte, we have, well, he's listed as a game time decision. I imagine Rozier's out, but just keep an eye on that news. If you're not, jump in the Discord. And yeah, we'll be sure to let you guys know how to kind of make pivots as news breaks. But yeah, I think Gordon Hayward's viable here as well. I'd never love to play Gordon Hayward. I can never seem to get him right, but he does have a very high ceiling if the two main guard plays are going to be out tonight. What else? We got Brandon Ingram out for the Pels. That's an interesting one. I think Zion's going to be back. I think they were just resting him last game, but that's something to keep an eye on. Because whenever Ingram's out, we can kind of look to CJ McCollum. DK has McCollum listed as questionable. Trying to see where he's at on our list. Yeah, we don't have him in the injury report yet, so that's something I'd recommend keeping an eye on. If he's out, I mean, there could be a lot of value here. Trey Murphy's has looked excellent for the Pelicans. Really a solid value play. And he's not as scoring dependent as some of these other guys. He's going to get you a lot of rebounds, sometimes blocks and steals as well. So he's a guy I like to roster when there is extra usage for him. But again, that's a tricky matchup. And then if all those guys are out and Zion's going to be in, I think we can look to Zion a little bit. But yeah, he's listed as questionable, so we have to keep an eye on that. But at 8,700, even if he's only going to play 30 minutes, I think that extra usage could be enough for him to hit value. That's more of a tournament play. I wouldn't be using Zion in cash anytime soon until we're seeing him consistently over 30 minutes. I don't think we want to do that. But yeah, I'm not going to dig too deep into Fontecchio. Middleton's still out for the Bucks. The cover photo for this video is indeed Giannis. I think he's one of the best pay-ups on the slate. But going down, nothing too major. So as we kind of click through my favorite plays at each position, we'll see if we come across any additional injury news. But as it stands, I mean, Garland and Lillard are the big ones. I think Anthony Simons is going to be one of the biggest plays or the best plays on the slate. He's also going to be extremely popular. We can look to Donovan Mitchell again as his prices tick down just a bit. And then this Pelicans situation is fluid. I don't know who's going to be out. It's like the whole team's listed as questionable. So that's something we have to keep an eye on. Oh, and then one more here. We got Suggs and Anthony both out for the Magic. So this is going to make Banchero look really good. He's going to do a bit more ball handling for the Magic. And let's just see here. Yeah, 7,800, I don't mind. Franz Wagner, similarly to Winslow and Richardson, he's going to be playing some point forward. Terrence Ross, very scoring dependent. I don't think I'm going to buy into RJ Hampton, but logic would say he should see a bump in usage as well. But keep an eye on the starting lineup. We could get some good value here. And when we get to the value plays, I'll see what the model has popping for Orlando. But first look, I do really like Banchero. I think he's a great play. And as things are shaking out, it seems we're kind of going balanced on both sites to start. which is fine. I think you're going to want to fit in one pay up at least today. We're getting Banchero at 8K on FanDuel, which does feel a little pricey, but Charlotte's defense isn't great. And I mean, if all that usage is going to be there for him, I think he's someone we're going to want to consider. So let's just click out of these injuries. Let me just double check again. Yeah, so the Magic, the Spurs. Yeah, there's really nothing else too dire. I mean, again, with Primo out, that's what's going to make Sochan kind of viable for the Spurs. Ball's still out for the Hornets. And then, yeah, just guys who've been out the entire season. So there's really no dramatic changes in rates or anything like that. Okay. What's next here? So let's take a look at the top value plays for both sites. And again, this is the Occupy model. We have on our site, you can sort by DK value, FanDuel value. And on these massive slates, sometimes you're going to get guys towards the top that we don't love. Like Denny Avila, he's been really good lately, but he hasn't been in the closing lineup. Will Barton's been closing. But yeah, look at this game log. It's like every other game he's going off. So he's a decent punt, but he kind of feels like more of a GPP play to me here. But our model certainly likes him, and I understand it. We're getting, this is sorted by FanDuel value. I'll start with DK. But yeah, Justice Winslow at the top. I do think he's probably going to be a core play if he starts. Dennis Smith Jr. looks good again. Banchero we already talked about. When you're seeing higher priced guys pop for value, that's always a good thing. I mean, we're looking for players to kind of 6-7x their salaries, and if you're getting guys to do that in this range, that's what it takes to take down a tournament. Jeremy Grant, another guy, he was not happy with his role in Denver where he wasn't seeing usage. Same deal in Detroit, wasn't happy there. Not seeing usage once they pulled in Cade Cunningham. So now he's seeing more usage in Portland, even with Dame in, and with Dame out, I could really see Jeremy Grant kind of having a great game here. So Chan's seeing a nice boost on DK. Chris Paul's popping pretty highly. He's been consistently hitting value in that 7K range. Not usually a player I'm chasing, but yeah, I mean, he's going to be appealing here. And here's a guy, Kevon Harris, that's popping because there's just so many injuries in this Orlando backcourt. That maybe Harris gets some run. I mean, the minutes have been there. He's played 19 and 20 his last two. He's just really not taking any shots. So this is not a guy I'm really going to be trying to play. I mean, if he starts at point, maybe mix him into some tournament builds. But yeah, I mean, whenever a guy's in the model and he's popping this highly, you have to at least consider him. Just going to jump over to FanDuel quickly. Again, Advida is way up there. Monte Morris is way up there. Just going to see if there's any injuries for Washington. And yeah, if you're in the injury page, you can kind of sort by team. Oh, Delon Wright's out. So that's kind of why these guys are popping a little bit higher than normal. And you guys can kind of see me realize these things in real time, which is certainly helpful. You can kind of help refine your process in that way as well. But let's see here. We have, yeah, Morris is 5,500. I don't mind him. The issue with him, I think he's a really talented guard. It's just the minutes haven't been there. But he did finally get up to 30 in that last game against Detroit. So he's a guard maybe I'll consider on this slate. I think he's even cheaper on FanDuel. So yeah, with Delon right out, I think we're going to get a little bit extra usage here. Washington. Yeah, I'm used to going team by team, guys, so bear with me as I kind of make adjustments to this. But yeah, the thing about FanDuel, there's a lot of multi-positional eligibility this year. I'm guessing Simons we can play at shooting guard as well. So if we want to get Morris in there, you can maybe put Morris at guard, get Simons in at shooting guard instead, and then we can get Hayward in at small forward. So yeah, guys, I'm kind of building these lineups as I go, but with NBA, news is vital. So if you're not already a member, be sure to get in that Discord. As news breaks, we're talking about which of the guys moving into the starting lineup are worth it, who's going to be chalk, who's good chalk, who's bad chalk, any sort of questions you have. And then there is kind of a 20-minute period where we'll have an expert in there in the audio channel answering questions for you. So certainly something to keep in mind there as well. But yeah, I mean, I like how this is going so far. Let's take a look at these value plays. Grayson Allen's popping for Milwaukee. Still no Chris Middleton. This Shady Sharp is popping for the Blazers. Not a player I'm super familiar with, admittedly. But yeah, he's coming off a 15-point game. I did see him in the box score. That's why I'm bringing him up now. But yeah, if he's going to start, I think alongside Simons, maybe he's someone you use. If you're trying to get really contrarian in a large field tournament and you're fading someone like Simons, maybe look to his backup, because in order for Simons to fail, he's probably going to get in foul trouble or something like that, or have a really bad shooting night. Not saying that I think that's likely, but maybe a guy like Sharp gets in there. Josh Hart, I didn't mention before, but I think he's another player who's going to benefit greatly from Dame being out. Certainly more looks on the offensive end, and he's known to play a ton of minutes. So Josh Hart's a guy I'll be looking at on both sides. Let's see. Mitchell Robinson's kind of coming into his own. I know he really wants to show out against Giannis here. Just be careful. He's been known to get in foul trouble. This is the exact type of matchup we see that in. So he's more of a GPP play for me. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing parallels for value on both sides. I think anytime in our model you're seeing someone kind of over 13, 12 in value, that's someone you're going to want to consider. I mean, we see Simons just, yeah, I mean, his price is up. I think he'd pop even higher. But when you sort by OF index, you can kind of see the top plays. Banchero's way up there. Giannis, as I mentioned before. I do like Jokic. So let's see. I'm going to pull up some spreads right now. One thing to keep in mind when you're paying up for some of these studs, you do have to worry about blowout risk. It's not something I really quantify constantly, but on a massive slate like this, where we have tons of choices, maybe that's something I would consider. So the thing is, I mean, going into the season, maybe this would feel like a huge mismatch, but the Jazz are 4-1. They've looked excellent. So I don't mind Joker here as well. I do prefer Giannis, but the Knicks do play slow. But yeah, Jokic is right up there. This is the tricky thing with the Hawks this year. We have Trae Young and Murray, who both look like good plays. You're probably going to want to play one or the other. Never both. It's tough to know which one of the two is going to be great on a night-to-night basis. But we did see, like with the Nets last night, we had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both go off in a game that went to overtime. That's certainly a scenario we could see take place in Atlanta in certain matchups. And Detroit is a soft defense, so it wouldn't be insane. But I like both these guys, but personally wouldn't be using them in the same lineup. LeBron coming off a dud. I think we see him bounce back a bit. Not really a priority for me at over 10K on both sides, but he's someone you can consider. Embiid's looked a little bit better lately. Decent matchup against Toronto. And then AD's right there. So yeah, I do like Giannis and Joker better than the other pay up options. Tatum's been on fire. Not loving the matchup with Cleveland. These are two of the better defensive teams in the league. But yeah, it's a good slate. So let me just go through quickly position by position and just see what I pull up. We've been spending more time on DK, so maybe I'll click through on FanDuel. And there should be pretty much similar plays on both sites, guys. If there's major pricing discrepancies, there's actually advantage to playing on both sites. Like if you're getting a guy way cheaper on one site than the other, load up your exposure on that site and completely fade him on the other. And yeah, you can kind of leverage things that way between the two sites. That's something I like to do in my single entry builds. But yeah, just looking at point guard quickly, Harden's price is up. I think he's in play against Toronto. Not quite a priority, but he's been so good that I don't mind getting there in tournaments. I talked about the Atlanta guys. We've talked about Mitchell, who looks really good here. Halliburton, another player I like a lot. Hasn't really been hitting the ceilings we expected him to going into the season, but we do see those outlier games in there against San Antonio and Detroit, and he is in a great spot tonight against the Wizards. CJ McCollum, keep an eye on that, but with Ingram out, if he's in, he's going to be a solid play. Van Fleet, his price is finally up on FanDuel. I still think you could look at him there. Not really a priority. Brunson coming off his best game of the season, tricky matchup against the Bucks, but I mean, when the usage is there and his shot is falling, he's certainly a player to look to. Cade Cunningham, I like. Dennis Smith, we talked about. I think he's in play. Jalen Green, really good matchup. This Portland game could see a ton of points tonight. I think Houston at Portland is going to be a game I'm targeting, and we get that late night hammer. There is no real mathematical reason to play the late night game over the earlies, but it does allow you to pivot if you need to throughout the night. And it's always fun to, climb a leaderboard at the end rather than trickle down off of it. But again, there's really no math to that. It's just, yeah, it's a little more fun to have a guy in the late game. And I do like Jalen Green, maybe as a run back with Simons. Scrolling down, Jalen Noel's been excellent as a value play for the Timberwolves, but his price is finally up. And then, yeah, digging through value, you could go RJ Hampton, assuming he starts with Anthony and Suggs out. But yeah, value gets kind of tricky at guard. I think we're going to find better spots at the forward positions. But going into shooting guard, there's going to be some overlap here. Booker's okay. DeRozan's fine against the Spurs. He's 7 points, I think, from, I don't know, it's some milestone, but he said he wanted to do it in front of Popovich. So I could see him having a pretty good game tonight against Pop. Jaylen Brown's price doesn't move in spite of consistent 40-point fantasy games, so I like him. Again, Brunson's fine. Wagner, I do like a lot. I think he's going to see increased usage with the guards out. Josh Hart, another major player on this slate. Kelly Oubre, Cowers LeVert, both in play. RJ Barrett's been seeing less usage with Brunson on the floor, so I'm not crazy about him there. Mathurin's kind of come back to earth. He's okay as a GPP dart. I do like Lonnie Walker as a GPP play, but he is not going to be as strong if Russ is back, so keep an eye on that. Keep seeing RJ Hampton. But yeah, just scrolling down, I don't mind Grayson Allen. Now we're getting really into the bargain bin here. But rather than kind of scrolling through the bottom, I'd recommend going to the model. Take a look at what's in the value. And then we get small forward. Like I said, I love Giannis. I'm prioritizing him tonight. If I could fit him, I think I can. Against the Knicks, we have Lauri Markkanen. His price is up. I think he's fine. I do really like Keldon Johnson a lot. Franz Wagner, once again, play I'm looking at. Trey Murphy for the Pels. Keep an eye on that injury news. He's going to be someone I'm interested in. And then, yeah, power forward. Yeah, I'm getting a bit redundant here, but you guys kind of get the picture who we like. Kelly Olynyk's been pretty solid. Precious Ashua, if he starts, GPP only play, but I do like his upside. He's usually very low owned. Not someone I'm necessarily prioritizing. And then I know we talked about Mitchell Robinson before. I do think he is more upside than an Isaiah Hartenstein. But if we see Mitchell get in foul trouble, that could really open things up for Hartenstein. So he's a sneaky GPP play for me. Sochan I mentioned before, decent value. We're getting him at power forward on FanDuel. I think he's a shooting guard only on DK. Or no, wow, okay, yeah. Completely wrong about that, but we're getting him at forward now on DK. I think he's okay value as long as he's starting. I think we see a little bit more out of him than the 20 fantasy points we got the other night. And then center's always stacked, guys. We got Nikola Jokic up top. Siakam's been excellent. The price is way up, but he's just looked outstanding. Porzingis is solid here at 7,200. Maybe he sees a tick up in usage with Delon right out. I don't know that it's a major needle mover, but he's certainly someone you could consider. And then, yeah, we're getting into the value. It's really nothing too special. So let me just quickly check the model for what centers are popping up. Nurkic, obviously with Dame out, he's going to have some appeal. Clint Capella, DeAndre Ayton. And yeah, guys, you can kind of click between the injury reports, use the model, use the lineup builder. And once again, if you're not already a member of Occupy Fantasy, please join. We'd love to have you in there. It's a great community full of very sharp people. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us climb these algorithms when people search for NBA DFS content. We want to be at the top. We want to give you more and more and really help you win money this season. It's a long season. It's a fun season. NBA is one of my favorite DFS sports. And yeah, we've been crushing. We've had members winning every night. Some nights have been better than others, but that's the nature of the game. This is a long game. I love these huge slates, though. I think tonight's going to be a great one. And I really appreciate all of you joining us today. I'm still getting used to the shorter format. I'm used to going game by game. So thanks again, really, guys. Again, my name's Nick Marro for Occupy Fantasy. That's at Nick Marro DFS. Let's have some fun tonight. Keep an eye on that injury news, and yeah, let's make some money.